Costa Rica national football team represents Costa Rica in international men's football. Costa Rica is administered by the Costa Rican Football Federation, the governing body for football in Costa Rica. They have been a member of the International Federation of Association Football since 1927, a member of the Confederation of North, Central American and Caribbean Association Football since 1961 and a member of the Unión Centroamericana de Fútbol since 1990. Costa Rica are the current Central American champions after winning the 2013 edition of the tournament. Costa Rica is the most successful national football team in the history of Central America, with 7 championships, 1991, 1997, 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, 2013. They are also one of the most successful team in CONCACAF with 3 titles. Costa Rica is the only national team in Central America to have played in 4 FIFA World Cup editions. Costa Rica's national football team has the all-time highest average Football Elo ranking in Central America with 1,597.1, and the all-time highest Football Elo ranking in Central America, with 1806 in 2014. Since the late 1980s, the team has continuously been visible as a solidly competitive side, with a prominent performance in the 1990 FIFA World Cup in Italy, making it to the knockout stage in their debut after finishing second in their group during the first phase, below Brazil. They also managed to qualify for the 2002 and 2006 FIFA World Cups. In 2014, Costa Rica made their best performance in history by finishing first in their group that consisted of 3 former World Cup champions, Uruguay, Italy, and England. During the round of 16 they defeated Greece 5-3 via a penalty shootout after a 1-1 draw. Reaching the quarter-finals for their very first time, the Ticos were defeated by the Netherlands also in a penalty shootout after a scoreless draw on July 5. History: Costa Rica has a long-standing football culture and tradition. The national team made its debut in the Independence Centenary Games held in Guatemala City in September 1921, winning their first game 7-0 against El Salvador. In the final, Costa Rica defeated 6-0 Guatemala to claim the trophy. The football team of Costa Rica has been characterized above all by its regularity over the years. Well remembered is the selection of this country formed in the late 1940s, acquiring the nickname of the Gold Shorties. Throughout the 50s and 60s, were very much the second strongest team in the CONCACAF zone behind Mexico, finishing runners-up and World Cup qualifying in the 1958, 1962 and 1966 qualifiers. Stars of the side in this period were Ruben Jimenez, Errol Daniels, Lenel Hernandez and Edgar Marin. However, at the end of the 60s their fortunes would decline as other teams in the region such as Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, Haiti, Trinidad and Tobago and Canada came to the fore. Although the majority of these participants have been short on points in their World Cup performances. During the 1970s and most of the 1980s, the Costa Rican team went unnoticed, absent from World Cups. Costa Rica failed to make the final round of CONCACAF World Cup qualifying rounds until the 1986 qualifier. Currently its historical topscorer is Rolando Fonseca with 47 goals. 1980s, Costa Rica participated in 2 straight Summer Olympic Games, in Moscow 1980 and in Los Angeles 1984. In 1980, Costa Rica competed against Yugoslavia, Finland and Iraq, in Group D, losing all 3 games 2-3, 0-3 and 0-3 respectively. Los Angeles saw Costa Rica's first win in a worldwide international participation. Again in Group D, the Ticos played against the United States, Egypt and Italy. The game against the US ended in a loss, 0-3. The second game did not see much improvement, 1-4 against Egypt. But in the last game, against an Italian squad that included Walter Zenga, Pietro Viracciawood, Franco Bessi and Aldo Serena, Costa Rica prevailed 1-0, with an Enrique Rivers goal. Qualifying to Italy 1990. After a great campaign in the CONCACAF Championship in 1989, Costa Rica got their first ticket to the finals of a World Cup where they made a huge showing after beating Scotland and Sweden in the first round. It all started with a tie against Panama to advance to the qualifying group stage. Costa Rica suffered against the Panamanians in the first game at Alejandro Morera Soto Stadium in Alajuela, and ended up taking a local 1-1 tie. In the second game at the Stadium Revolution, with goals from Juan Arnoldo Caiazzo and Turner N. Medford gave the away victory to Costa Rica 0-2 victory to advance to the group stage. Costa Rica started the group stage with a defeat in Guatemala by 1-0. Then beat the same Guatemala 2-1 at home, goals from Ranking Cubed Guer Flores and Evaristo Coronado. Then Costa Rica beat the U.S. in San Jose by 1-0 with a goal from Gilberto Rodon. Then they lost to the U.S. 1-0 in St. Louis, Missouri. Following this they tied in Trinidad and Tobago 1-1, the scorer was Evaristo Coronado. Beat Trinidad and Tobago in San Jose with a goal by Juan Arnoldo Caiazzo. A substantial away win was next for the Ticos in El Salvador at the Cuscatlán by 2-4, with goals from Carlos Mario Hidalgo, Juan Arnoldo Caiazzo and a double from Leonidas Flores. Finally in the last game a victory over El Salvador in San Jose by 1-0 signified a trip to the 1990 FIFA World Cup. Pastor Fernandez scored the lone goal. Costa Rica finished first with 11 points in the Pentagonal and the United States and second also with 11 points in 8 games respectively, both qualifying, but Costa Rica first on goal difference. Mexico was disqualified from this qualifier because of youth player age tampering. In the World Cup finals, Costa Rica was second in their group behind Brazil, but lost in the round of 16 to Czechoslovakia. 1990s and early 2000s, after its brilliant performance in the Italian summer, the national team failed to qualify for World Cup USA 1994 and France 1998 due to lack of planning and poor results. It was an important and historical moment when, in 1997 Costa Rica was invited for the first time to the Copa América Rica held in Bolivia. Costa Rica also played memorable friendlies including a 5-4 defeat against Uruguay in Estadio Centenario. 2001 Copa América Rica. Korea/Japan 2002 World Cup qualifiers. After the resounding failures in qualifying for the World Cup 1994 and World Cup 1998, the Ticos won the qualification for the World Cup in 2002 held in South Korea and Japan. This included victories against favorites Mexico and the United States. During the World Cup the results were mixed, losing to Brazil 5-2, tying with Turkey 1-1 and soundly beating China 2-0. Costa Rica finished in third place in their group, behind Turkey on goal difference. The match against Brazil is remembered as one of the most exciting matches of the tournament. During the qualifiers, though, Costa Rica started with many ups and downs, first in command of Brazilian coach Gilson Nunsequera and then with Costa Rican Alexander Guimara Pounders. The first group stage began with an unexpected defeat to Barbados 1-2. After this humiliating loss, Costa Rica proceeded to beat the United States at the Ricardo Saprissa Stadium 2-1, with goals from Rolando Fonseca and Turner N. Medford. Then they beat Guatemala in the Morera Soto Alajuela by 2-1, with 2 goals from Paulo Wanchope and defeated Barbados at the Ricardo Saprissa 3-0, with goals from Japhet Soto, Rolando Fonseca and Hernan Medford. After this good run, Costa Rica's level decreased and took a scoreless match against the United States, then lost to Guatemala in Mazatenango 2-1. This result forced a playoff against Guatemala in Miami, Florida. The match was won 5-2 by Costa Rica with 2 goals from Rolando Fonseca, 1 from Paulo Wanchope, 1 from Reynaldo Parks and Japhet Soto. Costa Rica displayed a fine offensive form with a rather solid front line, thanks to their new coach, Alexander Guimaraes. This display of football evidenced itself during the final hexagonal round, although it began with a draw against Honduras at the Ricardo Saprissa 2-2, with goals from Rolando Fonseca and Rodrigo Cordero. Then Costa Rica defeated Trinidad and Tobago in a 3-0 win at the Marina Soto. Their only loss in this final round came thanks to the U.S., who defeated Costa Rica 1-0. Afterwards, Costa Rica bounced back with a huge win against Mexico in Mexico City 1-2, which is usually referred as the Aztecazo, with goals from Rolando Fonseca and Hernan Medford. Morale was high after this game, and Costa Rica proceeded to beat Jamaica 2-1 in Alajuela. Again, Costa Rica came away with a great away win over Honduras in Tegucigalpa 2-3, goals scored by Paulo Wanchope, Rolando Fonseca and Mauricio Solis. A crucial away win in Port of Spain against Trinidad and Tobago 2-0, with 2 goals from Rankin Cube Naldgar Cube Mez, meant Costa Rica was just 3 points away from a premature qualification to the World Cup. Costa Rica sealed their qualification to Korea-Japan in a very emotional match against the U.S. by beating them 2-0 in the Saprissa, with a double from Rolando Fonseca. The final 2 games were uneventful, as Costa Rica managed a goalless tie with Mexico at the Ricardo Saprissa and defeated already eliminated Jamaica 0-1, using subs and reserves. Costa Rica finished first in that hexagonal round with 23 points in 10 games, ahead of the United States and Mexico. Germany 2006 World Cup qualifiers. In 2006, Costa Rica had an uneven season but managed to make the qualification to the World Cup. On June 9, 2006, Costa Rica made its debut in the opening match in Munich against the host German squad, losing the match 4-2. However, the good performance in that game did not translate over to the other games, where they fell 0-3 against Ecuador, and 1-2 against Poland. This time they also started the journey with ups and downs. First in command U.S. coach Steve Sampson, who was separated after qualifying with doubts over Cuba in the preliminary phase. Both these games' results were ties. First in Havana 2-2, with goals Douglas Sequeira and Alvaro Saborio, and then in the second game at the Marina Soto in Alajuela 1-1. Costa Rica advanced to the away goals. The Colombian Jorge Luis Pinto took over in the group stage. He began with an unheard of 2-5 defeat against Honduras in Costa Rica. Then they visited Guatemala and lost 1-2. Bounced back against Canada at the Saprissa 1-0, with a goal from Paulo Wanchope. Then a resounding triumph over Guatemala in Tibas 5-0, a hat-trick from Paulo Wanchope, single goals from Carlos Hernandez and Rolando Fonseca resounding. Vancouver, Canada meant a decent 1-3 win, with goals from Paulo Wanchope, William Sunzing and Carlos Hernandez. They pulled a goalless draw against Honduras in San Pedro Sula. Costa Rica advanced to the hexagonal, winning their group. In the final round they started with a defeat at the Saprissa against Mexico by 1-2. Paulo Wanchope's goal was not enough. They beat Panama in the Saprissa by 2-1, with goals from Wayne Wilson and Roy Miri. In Port of Spain tied Trinidad and Tobago in a disappointing scoreless draw. This result marked Pinto's dismissal and the arrival of Alexander Guimara Pounders. He and the team lost the visit to the United States by 3-0. Guatemala was beaten at the Saprissa 3-2, with goals from Carlos Hernandez, Ronald Gomez and Paulo Wanchope. Then lost in Mexico by 2-0. The Ticos sank Panama in an away match at the Rommel Fernandez 1-3, with goals from Alvaro Saborio, Ronald Gomez and Walter Centeno. Then beat Trinidad and Tobago at the Saprissa by 2-0 with goals from Walter Centeno and Alvaro Saborio. Decisively beating the United States in the Saprissa by 3-0 equaled clinching the selection's third World Cup berth. The first goal was scored by Paulo Wanchope plus a double from Carlos Hernandez. With the ticket to Germany assured, then travelled to Guatemala for a 3-1 loss. Roy Miri scored their only goal. Costa Rica finished third behind the United States and Mexico in the standings. South Africa 2010 World Cup qualifiers. A very strange start for the Ticos. They faced Grenada in the second phase, drew the first leg 2-2, and then won the return by 3-0. In the third phase, forming the Group 3, won all 6 games played against the teams of El Salvador, Haiti and Suriname in both outward and return. Skipping ahead towards the end of the final phase with Costa Rica achieving 12 points and Honduras 13 points. This meant a dramatic fight for the final spot to qualify for the South African World Cup. Costa Rica had to win their last 2 games and hope that the selection of Honduras lost. In the first instance they did well. Honduras lost at home 2-3 to the United States. Costa Rica on the other had won 4-0 against Trinidad and Tobago and overtook Honduras in the standings. Honduras closed their matches in El Salvador. However, Costa Rica still needed to give a good showing at the final match in the United States. This was achieved in part. All went well for the Ticos, winning 2-0 at halftime in Washington, D.C. In the second half the United States scored at the 71st and 95th minutes and the Ticos only finished with a tie. Honduras' 1-0 victory over El Salvador was devastating. Both Costa Rica and Honduras finished the 2010 FIFA World Cup qualification CONCACAF fourth round with 16 points. Honduras slipped into the 2010 FIFA World Cup on goal difference. The Costa Ricans finished fourth in the CONCACAF final qualifying round and were sent to a playoff with the fifth-seeded CONMEBOL team. In the playoff, Costa Rica faced Uruguay. In the first leg in San Jose, the Ticos lost 0-1. The Costa Rians finished the match with 10 men on the pitch because Randall Azofifar was sent off at the 52 feet with his second yellow card. Goal scored by defender Diego Lugano Sky. The second leg, played at the Estadio Centenario in Montevideo. The goals were scored by Sebastián Abu at the 70 feet and Walter Centeno 74 feet and finished in a 1-1 tie. Costa Rica was not able to take advantage of a slight extension of the game or extra time. Uruguay won 2-1 on aggregate. CONCACAF fourth place v CONMEBOL fifth place. The fourth-place team in the CONCACAF qualifying fourth round played off against the fifth-place team in the CONMEBOL qualifying group. Uruguay won the playoff and qualified for the 2010 FIFA World Cup on November 18, 2009. 2010 to present, after failing to qualify for 2010 World Cup in South Africa, the team the need to initiate a new era, based on the combined generational shift with young but experienced talent such as Brian Ruiz, Keylor Navas, Christian Bola +/- Randall Azofifar, Michael Barents and of course the very young and upcoming star Joel Campbell. Ranking Cubnaldo Gonzalez was interim contract before hiring in September 2010 of Ricardo La Volpe, whose job lasted only 10 months to be replaced by the Colombian coach Jorge Luis Pinto, in his second chance in front of the national team, with the goal of qualifying for the 2014 World Cup. This era has been characterized by friendlies against the top-ranked teams in the world, including world champion Spain, most of them through the construction of the new national stadium. Brazil 2014 World Cup qualifying. The Ticos campaign to qualify for the 2014 FIFA World Cup began in June with a 2-2 draw against El Salvador. The Ticos followed this up with a 4-0 win over Guyana with a hat-trick by Alvaro Saborio. In September, Costa Rica hit a bump in the road with 2-0 and 1-0 defeats to rivals Mexico, putting the Ticos one defeat away of being eliminated. On October 12, Costa Rica resurrected their campaign with a 1-0 win against El Salvador with the only goal scored by José Miguel Cubero. On October 16, they finally clinched a final round berth with a 7-0 win over Guyana with goals scored by Randall Breens, and Alvaro Saborio, Christian Bola +/- Celso Borges and Christian Gamboa. The fourth round began with a 2-2 draw against Panama. In March, Costa Rica lost 1-0 against the United States in Denver, Colorado. The Costa Rican Football Federation appealed the match due to inclement weather in Denver, but FIFA rejected the appeal as being without basis. Despite feeling aggrieved by the meteorological conditions, Costa Rica would again fall to the US 1-0 in the 2013 CONCACAF Gold Cup that June. On March 26, Costa Rica won at home 2-0 against Jamaica. In June, Costa Rica won 1-0 against Honduras, tied 0-0 at the Estadio Azteca against Mexico and won at home 2-0 against Panama. In September, Costa Rica won 3-1 against the United States in Estadio Nacional in San Jose. Copyright. On September 10, Costa Rica tied with Jamaica. Goals were scored by Randall Breens at the 73rd minute and by Jermaine Anderson at the 90th minute. Despite losing its lead, Costa Rica qualified to the 2014 FIFA World Cup, with 2 games to spare. After a 1-0 loss at Honduras and 2-1 win over Mexico in October, Costa Rica finished second in the final CONCACAF qualifying round table behind the United States, with 5 home wins, 3 draws and 2 losses. In December 2013, Costa Rica was drawn in Group D against Italy, England, and Uruguay, in which they topped the group by beating Uruguay and Italy and a 0-0 draw with England. In the round of 16 they won against Greece 5-3 on penalty after a 1-1 draw, seeing them though to play Netherlands in the quarter-finals. When they played against the Netherlands, the game was 0-0 after full-time and 0-0 after extra time. The game then went to penalties, in which Costa Rica lost 4-3 to the Netherlands. Competitive record: draws include knockout matches decided on penalty kicks. FIFA World Cup: Uruguay beat Costa Rica 2-1 in the 2010 CONCACAF vs CONMEBOL playoff. CONCACAF Championship/CONCACAF Gold Cup, Copa Centroamericana, Copa America, Ecuador. 1993 was the first time nations from outside CONMEBOL were invited. CCCF Championship, Pan American Games record: 1951 a Euro second place, 1955 a Euro did not participate, 1959 a Euro fifth place, 1963 to 1971 a Euro did not participate, 1975 a Euro fourth place, 1979 a Euro round 2, 1983 to 1991 a Euro did not participate, 1995 a Euro quarter-finals, 1999 a Euro round 1, 2003 a Euro did not participate, 2007 a Euro round 1, 2011 a Euro semi-finals, Pan American Championship record: 1952 a Euro did not participate, 1956 a Euro third place, 1960 a Euro fourth place, honors. FIFA World Cup, Best Performance, Quarterfinals, 2014. CONCACAF Championship/CONCACAF Gold Cup, winners 1963, 1969, 1989, runners-up, 2002, semi-finalist, 1965, 1971, 1985, 1991, 1993, 2003, 2009. Copa Arma Copyright Rica, 5th place, 2001. UNCAF Nations Cup Copa Centroamericana, winners 1991, 1997, 1999, 2003, 2005, 2007, 2013. CCCF Championship, winners 1941, 1946, 1948, 1953, 1955, 1960, 1961. Pan American Championship, 3rd place, 1956, 4th place, 1960. Recent results and upcoming fixtures. Current squad: the following 23 players were selected for the 2014 FIFA World Cup. Caps and goals updated as of July 5, 2014 after the game against Netherlands. Recent call-ups: the following players have been called up within the past 12 months. Previous squads, records, as of July 5, 2014. Bold indicates active players. Managers. Coaching staff, record versus other nations, as of March 25, 2011. Facts: Costa Rica was the first Central American football team to win a game at a World Cup tournament. Costa Rica is the only Central American football team to qualify for next round in FIFA World Cup and U20 World Cup. Costa Rica finished in first place in the 1990 FIFA World Cup qualification and 2002 FIFA World Cup qualification with the best punctuation in the history of the hexagonal Costa Rica is the only Central American or Caribbean squad to have beat a UEFA, an AFC and CONMEBOL national team at the FIFA World Cup. Costa Rica is the only Central American or Caribbean squad ever to advance to the quarter-finals of FIFA World Cup. Kit history: Costa Rica wears traditionally a red jersey with blue shorts and red socks. Its away kit historically was a Juventus-style black and white striped jersey with white shorts and white socks. Due to these colors being the ones of CS La Libertad, one of the oldest clubs in Costa Rica, however after 1997, the striped kit was replaced by a white kit with blue shorts. See also, Costa Rica national under-23 football team, Costa Rica national under-20 football team, Costa Rica national under-17 football team, Costa Rica at the FIFA World Cup. References. External links: Costa Rican FA official, Costa Rican FA unofficial, 1921-2009 Costa Rica match results by Marcos Romero at RSSSF.